This is JamieStarr with the New World News Network. On this episode, we are going to be going over the Bastille terrorist attack in France. Details are still pouring in, obviously. I'm not even sure exactly at what time this happened. Before I get into all of this, though, thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel so far. I found out about this because people were hitting me up on Twitter immediately asking me my take on it. I have people hitting me up on my Xbox account and telling me they love my content, and I am, from the bottom of my heart, overjoyed. It's mind-boggling. And it's crazy because I have some people who comment on things and say, oh, well, you only got 80 views on a video. You only have this, and it must be because you suck. They don't factor in, I've only been doing this channel for a short amount of time and everything like that, and you need time to build things. Like anything, time is an important thing, and it's a matter of keeping at it. So I do want to thank everyone for all of their support, people writing me, asking me what my take is on this issue, and everything like that. But like I said, details are still pouring in. We'll go through this in a second. You see here, trucker attack kills at least 75 in Bastille Day crowd. I have another article I pulled. 73 dead, 100 injured in French truck attack. And then we have this where you can go through the moments or whatever on Twitter. 80 people. So the numbers are still just going up. And it's come out thus far that the person was from Tunisia. They were a Sunni Muslim, so we see the religion of peace has struck again. And immediately, the only thing I can really say about it is because, at this rate, are we surprised? Are we really? My question would be, how are they going to spin this one? They spun the Orlando attack in such a ridiculous manner. I explained this to a friend of mine the other day who's a liberal, and I told him, I said, I voted for Obama in 2008. Now I had already seen Zeitgeist, I was already aware of conspiracy theories with Bush and everything like that, but for some reason I was still so naive that I bought into Obama and the change you can believe in and everything like that. And eventually I started to see that was all bullshit. I started to see the videos of Eric Holder talking about brainwashing people against guns and them shipping guns into Mexico while funding cop killer rap videos and all this blatant hypocrisy. So I told my friend, I said, vote for Hillary, but just pay attention. Because at a point they will alienate you, like they did in Orlando. They picked these groups, they had the blacks with the civil rights. Now civil rights have been sold out to gays and women and everyone but straight white men, thus alienating black voters and making them look elsewhere for people who support their interests. Same thing has happened with Orlando and the LGBT community. When they redacted Islam from the report or any mentions of anything concerning Islam, being Muslim, whatever, and then they came out and tried to blame the gun, they alienated their LGBT base, and then those people have now turned and looked elsewhere. So I wonder what will be the spin on this. So I have two guesses. My first one is a sarcastic, almost laughable one, but reality is on its fucking head, so it might be on point. But we need car controls, obviously. Because it's not the driver. It's not the ideology of the driver. It's not, we obviously, if we just ban everything, we'll eventually legally remove evil from society, in the mind of naive liberals, of course. So, we need to ban trucks. Obviously, because you can kill, 80 to 100, 70 some odd, injure hundreds, whatever. You can hurt a lot of people with a car, so cars are too dangerous. We need background checks for cars, and we need to make sure that you're not going to use the car as a weapon. Now, it's also said that there were guns and grenades and other stuff like that in the truck. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack. So, car control, is that where it's at? And it may not be unplausible, because we do see these self-driving cars coming left and right. Tesla is having issues now with one of their self-driving cars, the autopilot messing up and it crashing into someone. My other guess as to what will be blamed will be nationalism, because Bastille Day, as we can see here, is a national day commemorating the beginning of the French Revolution and the storming of Bastille on the 14th of July, 1789, and the unity of the French people at Fête de la Fédération on the 14th of July, 1790. Of course, I probably pronounced that wrong, but so there's a nationalist, I mean, it to me, from just that little bit, I would basically say this is like their Independence Day. And you see here the crowds of people running, because of the attack of one person. And it really is such a shame that hysteria is at this point. But they're also a disarmed civilization or society or whatever we want to call it. They're a disarmed people. So the concept of self-defense and protecting themselves isn't as prevalent as it would be in America. I really think if you just had one person driving through with a car, I would hope in America you wouldn't have people fleeing the scene in masses like this, and that they would be strong and just continue through. I mean, maybe the police aren't allowing it. I don't really know. But it's a really sad sight to be seeing all of this. And I think nationalism could also get the blame. They could just come out and say, you know what? We gotta get rid of these holidays. They're not inclusive enough. They don't encompass everyone. We have all these minorities, and the minorities don't feel, they're alienated by your nationalism. I'm sure that's what's going to go on. I mean, all it would be is, you have the right black person get shot by a cop on the 4th of July or something, and next thing you know, they'll come out and say, oh, well, the 4th of July, America had slavery, so America's bad. You need to get rid of your nationalism. We're a global community. This shit sounds fucking crazy as I say it. I mean, you'd gotta be halfway brain dead to buy into this stuff. But they do it over and over and over again. So I don't know. I really, as details are still pouring in, there isn't much I want to say about this. Not much I feel comfortable saying about this. I think this is one of the big problems in the news media nowadays, is they're so, the information is just going like this. We're all tied together with the World Wide Web. Everything's instantaneous, and that leads to a lot of false narratives and misinformation going out. It also leads to them being able, the controllers or whoever, the Illuminati, being able to manipulate these situations and everything, where they can put out a narrative, or you have all these incidences where there's always multiple shooters, and then it always boils down to the lone wolf, because of course if it's a lone wolf, well then we have to watch everyone, obviously. So I'm very interested in the narrative. As always, the narrative is what I see as being most important. Is it gonna come out that it was a false flag? It was a guy, that was funded by some government group, to work for Homeland Security like in Orlando? I don't know. We don't know yet. But it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to get the blame besides the religion of peace. Because I think we can see that there's a trend where that aspect of these terrorist attacks seems to, they try to just overlook it and bypass it as much as they can. And it really, it's mind-boggling how you have these instances. The best analogy or metaphor I've heard for this whole thing with the mass immigration thing is, if you had like a bowl of M&Ms and one of the colors were poisonous, would you start eating from the bowl if you didn't know? I mean, we've seen the polls where I think it's like in London or something, 90 to 100% of the Muslims believe homosexuality should be banned and you should be punished for it and things like that. So even if we want to give them the benefit of the doubt and, run with the analogy that it's just one of the colors of M&Ms in the bowl. It's not all of them. There still are levels that all of them display that are in conflict with Western values. I did see the hashtag Western Lives Matter. I believe Ben Shapiro tweeted that. I think that's a great, thing to put forward, because you have all of these attacks, and typically through history and societies, 9/11 was a great example. There was no talk whatsoever about race conflicts and race relations during 9/11, because Americans binded together in fear of such an attack like that. And maybe that will be the silver lining. Maybe Americans will wake up and start to see these attacks, this in conjunction with Orlando and all the other ones. During Ramadan, it really seemed like there was an attack going on every other day in another corner of the world. So maybe the shitty scenario will bring us all closer together. Maybe we'll realize that we have more common ground than differences, and that we cannot be bringing in people that want to cause harm to Western society and are so radicalized against it. Then again, there are plenty of people who blame Western society for every single problem. So, I'm going to leave this one here. Hopefully there'll be more details coming out. I'm supposed to do an interview on the podcast episode 2 with a friend I've made over in the UK who knows personally some of the InfoWars crew and Luke Radowski, and has been to Bilderberg conferences and stuff, outside with all of them at it. He's from that side of the world, London, so it'll be interesting to get his take on it. Hopefully we'll have more details of it. Check all that stuff out when it comes out this weekend. Hopefully it'll be out by Monday at the latest. I believe we're doing the interview on Sunday. I'm going to try to do a few more videos tonight, so I hope you guys enjoy them. I hope you enjoyed this. Check the links below, subscribe, and continue adding me on all the platforms. Hit me up on Xbox. I don't know how to work the shit and do the online gaming, but hell, if we play some of the same games, let's play some games together. It's... Also, if anyone is good with computer stuff, mainly app development, I got this idea, right? I was listening to Milo talk on the Joe Rogan show, and I'm going to bring this up again on the podcast. I'll mention this a few times, so I'm sorry if it gets repetitive. But I have so many ideas, that I could put forth, whether it's inventions or things like that, and I just don't have the funding or the capabilities to do it. And I heard Milo on Joe Rogan talk about how conservatives have given up on the culture war, how we just kind of handed it over to the left. So I think we need to stop that. And I think one of the ways to stop it is the same way the left does. Eric Holder said, we need daily reminders every day, making people radically think about guns in a different way and all that type of bullshit. Well, we too need daily reminders about the benefit of liberty and ideas of freedom, libertarian philosophy, conservative philosophy, and everything like that. And of course, we all know the way marketing works, propaganda. You get the women make the decisions for the children, the men will follow. Sex appeal sells. So I came up with this idea if we did like a Ladies of Liberty calendar type thing. And then, of course, that went from, well, maybe not a calendar, but maybe, I got these apps on my computer and my phone where it switches my wallpaper every day. So what if we developed, instead of a calendar, but a wallpaper, app where every day or every week or, depending on how expansive we can make this, you get a picture of one of these beautiful libertarian girls. I mean, come on. Leanne McAdoo, Lauren Southern, there's the girl who goes by Fematheist. I'm friends with her on here. There are a handful of others when I tweeted them out. There's Margaret Howe, who's now on InfoWars. There's so many of these bright, intelligent, and beautiful women. I mean, just the perfect woman. And if we were to put together a thing where every day you got to see one of these girls' pretty faces, but more importantly, a quote from them, because they are geniuses, absolute geniuses, and you had that every day. I mean, I think we should add some guns in the mix. I know Leanne McAdoo has done photos with guns and stuff for the InfoWars stuff, but if I could just get permission from all of them, I've got a green light from a few of them, but to put something like that together so we can propagandize ourselves, basically. We need to start creating our own culture. And I don't know how to do app development stuff, but I've got a handful of ideas like that. My other idea was we'll charge for it. We'll charge a couple bucks and we'll give it right to Milo's college fund, the white privilege fund. So that's one of my ideas. If anyone else thinks that's a good idea, you think you can help me bring it to life, definitely hit me up. Very accessible, and I would love to make this stuff happen. We need to take back the culture, or we at least need to create our own, because this shit isn't cool. I mean, I even saw an article, I'll do a video on this, but I saw an article where, they've turned Iron Man into this black girl. There's a video that came out. First off, they've appropriated all of the comic book characters. As a kid, I had awful Lyme disease. I was always on bed rest. And what I would do, I would draw the shit I saw in my comic books. So this is like a personal thing that pisses me off. That they're appropriating the characters. It's not that they're just changing one or two or anything like that. I mean, the only one we've got left is Iceman, and they turned him gay. I mean, who's left? Is Wolverine, can we keep Wolverine at least? I don't even like Wolverine, but we need one that we can feel, okay, they're ours. Because everyone else is, I forgot they turned Hulk into an Asian. What's going on? So, I saw this article, though, where they were like, okay, well, if they make this black girl Iron Man into a movie, who are they going to pick? And, people, of course, started naming these top actresses and everything like that. And then, of course, there was a group that came out and said, well, they're not dark enough. Because, obviously, being black isn't just being black. You have to be the darkest shade of black. I mean, and this is the people who are concerned with race are the racist, and that's how they show it, because it's never enough for them. They don't care about who's the better actress, they just care about how dark that skin is, and it's really obnoxious. So, we need to take back our culture, and we need to let them know that this shit isn't cool, you're not creative, this is tokenism, and the shit needs to stop. I mean, I'm at the point where I just want to say, I've mentioned in earlier videos, I don't watch Quentin Tarantino movies. I used to like them, but then I've realized that, what you take in through your eyes and your ears is the same as what you eat through your mouth. You are feeding yourself. You are feeding your mind these images and these thoughts, and they do affect your subconscious on some level. Whether you bring it out in a conscious effort or not, that's a whole different thing. But we need to boycott all this shit. Let their sales plummet. Fuck them. Fuck this Ghostbusters shit. Fuck Marvel. Fuck Disney. Fuck all of them. Stop giving them money, and they will stop with this bullshit. Because the reality is that, the largest consumer purchasing group is still teenage white girls. So, if they can't capture that corner of the market, they'll end up going broke, trying to appease people who probably aren't even interested in the first place, because they're desperate attempts to claim that they've achieved equality or diversity or all the warm, fuzzy words. Fuck it. Fuck that shit. Anyway, sorry for the rant, but I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one, everyone.